Hello, we're live. We're live. Thank you for joining me today on the Late Late Show. We're slightly behind time, but it's a Friday after all. So thank you as well for those who are watching on the replay. Welcome to Sales and Marketing Discussions. So whether you're on the live or the replay, please leave comments, and we'll aim to answer your questions as the show goes along. I say aim to because yeah, don't always get around to it. But I'm joined today here by Emily Lopez, who's a marketing strategist from New York. I've actually been to New York in 1998, Emily, and found it to be an absolutely lovely, lovely city. Um,
Yes.
so, how long have you been in New York?
So I was born and raised in New York. So I've been here for quite some time. I'm not going to tell you how many years. But yeah, but it's great. I mean, I find New York fabulous. I live about an hour and a half outside of New York City. So
Right.
there's New York to New York, then New York City, but gorgeous place. And that's a long time. So we got to get you back over here.
Yeah, 1998. I was over for a friend's wedding, and that was up New York State.
Yeah.
So north. I'm not sure which side of New York you're 1.5 hours outside of it.
By Dutchess County, so it's like the Hudson Valley region. It's beautiful. So if you like to hike, if you like to be outdoors, this is a place you want to come to.
Great. No, well, I remember we were by a lake, which was really really nice. But we had a nice thunderstorm as well, which was interesting. It was something I'd never really seen in the UK before. But over in the States, you always try and do things bigger and better, including your including your weather.
That's so funny. Yeah, we have some pretty nice storms roll through here.
Oh, there's Ronald Hunt has joined us, who's a native New Yorker. Unite, he says. So you're not alone, Emily. You're not alone.
Yeah.
So Emily, you've really got two positions. You've got a full time one, and as,
Yes.
as you guys over the pond say, your side hustle. So if you'd like to tell us a little bit about both, that'd be good.
Yeah, sure. So I think we it's funny because we had this conversation before between a side hustle, and it just felt so, I don't know, it just didn't feel it just didn't feel aligned to me. So I'm going to say it's my passion project because it's what I'm really
Oh, come on! It's a side hustle. Everyone calls it a hustle.
and then I think hustle, I think like the hustle back in the day where you used to dance. So maybe we can play around with it. But so my full-time job is I work in the tech industry. I've been doing that for years as a marketing consultant, where I help small to medium-sized business implement different marketing strategies into their organization. And I've been doing that for over 15 years. And I love it. I love the tech world. It's always changing, it's fast, cutting edge. And same thing in terms of marketing. Like I love marketing because it allows me to be creative, think outside the box. I think I'm a natural storyteller, or not necessarily a storyteller, but I love stories. And I find that's what marketing does, right? It typically tells a story. And I can't wait to get into this discussion because like we always have this little banter between sales and marketing, who's better. But we work together. So that's at the end of this conversation, Phil. I'm gonna say we work together.
No, well, absolutely. There's not no I in team, and sales and marketing should work together. They should, as everyone always says, be aligned. But obviously, that's not always the case.
Yeah.
Um, so I think we'll come on to that. But what are the common problems that clients come to you with? That you help with. What's the sort of number one mistake you see them making, and then what's the sort of transformation that you help with?
Well, I mean, right now it's been interesting. We know COVID has really changed the landscape of business, but for marketing in general, right? So I've been in the industry for a very long time, and I see the trends, right? So a lot of my clients or partners will do marketing from a in person to in person, right? They like to
Mhm.
do a lot of events. They like to do a lot of small roundtables. So when COVID hit, it was like, crap, what do we do? Like, how do we stay in front of our audience, continue to connect and get our message across, but do it in a very not tangible way, but a relational way, right? So then you had this boom of virtual events, which I think a lot of people are just exhausted of. Jumping on Zoom, creating a lot of events where we do like wine tastings or beer pairings, right? It's fun, but then at the same time, how do you have your message come across when you have these types of events and you can't like take somebody to the side and have these conversations?
It's I suppose it's a bit more sort of brand awareness rather than you know I think that's something that sales sort of talk about. I've got a client, not going to name any names, that basically, they say, from a sales perspective, marketing have an event, even before sort of COVID hit and it was virtual, have an event, and then they get given all these leads that aren't qualified at all, and you know they complain that they're following up and wasting time on people that are never even thinking about buying what the offer is.
Well, I think that's where the conversation needs to be between sales and marketing, what's considered a lead. And that's what I stress upon everybody that I work with, especially when you have multiple teams, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because as marketing, we're here to create the conversation. We're here to create that initial like point of interest,
Yeah.
not necessarily well, and it depends on the campaign that you're working on, right? So the top of the funnel, when you're doing that at brand awareness, when you're typically doing an event, you have to think about what stage is the event coming from. Like, are you top funnel, mid funnel, bottom of the funnel,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think having that conversation with the sales team is like, how are we positioning this event? What is the next step that we need to do? Like, we always have the call to action, but making sure that call to action is in line with the sales team so they understand that, hey, this is just like a general awareness. So when they go into that conversation, it's just getting to know, it's a relationship building opportunity, not I'm ready to buy business and
Yeah.
let's close next week, right? So those are the conversations that I typically have with my clients that to bring the unity between sales and marketing. Because if you don't have that, again, it's like, well, marketing doesn't do anything. And then marketing says, like, we spent all this money, all this time creating this event. We pass it over to the sales team, and they're like, they're lazy. They don't do anything. So we want to really stop that or help that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think part of the issue is sort of communication, and traditionally, I don't want to get shot down on this, but traditionally, sales are more men and marketing is more women. So you've got that sort of dynamic going on as well, which obviously probably is not going to help the situation. You know,
Yeah.
have you found that to be the case, that a lot of it's down to communication and not communicating at all, or miscommunication?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I definitely think there is a miscommunication, and that's why I think it's so important that the collaboration happens throughout the whole process, right? We know sales has your own sales funnel, marketing has their marketing funnel, right? We know sales has their forecasting system, right? So why not have a conversation about how does that forecasting system is in alignment with the marketing funnel, right? And it's something so simple like that, but it's also we make assumptions, right?
Mhm.
On the sales side, on the marketing side, so we always make assumptions that they're going to understand what kind of quality we're giving them, and then you're like, what is this? What is this?
I'd like to put a caveat in that I'm actually marketing stroke sales rather than just pure. So I've got a foot in both camps. So um, that for me, they both got value, obviously, for helping grow a business, because if you don't have marketing, then sales would have to generate all the opportunities themselves, and obviously that takes time.
Yeah.
So it's definitely worthwhile that they work together. But I don't know. I've been in quite a lot of situations where quite clearly they're not working together at all, and yeah, I remember a meeting, and it was just, yeah, my jaw hit the ground. How little sales felt they were being supported by marketing, but you know it's tricky. It's tricky.
And I think we have to understand that ultimately, I mean, we differentiate between sales and marketing, right? There are some key aspects that are different, but the way that business has evolved, we're ultimately becoming one, right? There's so much that is going online in terms of prospecting. Like if you look at the marketing funnel from where it was 10 or 15 years ago, like it's changing and
Hmm.
marketing is becoming more of almost like an inside sales. At least that's how I see it. The roles are really changing and shifting. And then the digital has like completely blown it out the water, but it's also made it really great because there's so many tools online that you can use that are giving you the analytics. So when you're having these conversations between sales and marketing, I think before you didn't have the real numbers to it, right? So if you were doing
Hmm.
like more of your brand awareness campaigns or like people were doing guerrilla marketing, they didn't have the true numbers supporting their efforts. Well, now if you're doing digital, like Google, LinkedIn, Google AdWords, LinkedIn advertisement, you have the numbers, like you see the conversion rates. So I think that's a better story to help align sales and sales and marketing.
Good, good. So
Yeah.
you think going forward it's not going to be as big a problem because of tech is going to help?
I think so, but I'm also an optimist. You know, I also see the world in like rosy roses, like in flowers, right? So
Yeah,
but I also think like from a realistic standpoint, you have to because business continues to change, sales continues to change, marketing continues to change, and if you're not in alignment and you're not having that communication, well, guess what? Your competitor is, and then you're out of business. That's
yeah,
from my realistic standpoint.
yeah. I've been in. I've had one situation where I find this really strange. It was a very very large company, an American company, who basically the sales team moved. Was either every 2 years he switched from under marketing to under sales, and I couldn't. For me, you work out where it's best to sit under, and then basically stick with that. But they seem to be wanting to keep all the biz dev people on their toes.
That's interesting.
Have you? Have
It's
you?
almost it's almost like people should do a day in the life of sales and a day in the life of marketing, and then come together and see, okay, like this is where I see the miscommunication breakdown is or the gap is, so
Yeah.
you could really become in line. Oh, I
Well,
like that.
yeah. Well, basically, the business development would, I think for them, um, the advantages they get to experience both sides, but from a continuity perspective, I don't really see the value in it, and especially as lots of people won't be in those same positions because I think I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I think the average position time a salesperson stays in their job is 18 months. So if they're doing that every 2 years, it's going to be different people anyway. So
Yeah,
that logic, yeah, I don't really quite get it.
yeah.
But
Wow. I was gonna say something really funny because we were talking about like women and men and
yeah,
but I just decided not to.
well, I know it's International Men's Day. You're meant to be nice to us.
Exactly, exactly.
So what's a nice thing that you can say about men on International Men's Day?
Oh my God, you guys are great. I mean, I think in terms of you know, leadership and moving forward and your drive, I feel like men are great in terms of that. Let's see, what else can I say about what's amazing about men in business and just all over? Um, hmm, leadership, drive. You know, a lot of men are super supportive of women. There's always like this misconception it's like men against women,
Yeah,
but I mean, historically, right, men have the most leadership positions out there right now. It is shifting, but I feel like men are being more receptive and welcoming to women, showing them, this is their leadership style, this is how it continues to work, and how to help them continue on the process, whether it's being an entrepreneur or in the corporate society. So,
I think. Sorry,
yeah.
Emily. I love how you activated your self mute. Apparently, you might be on mute.
No.
That's coming. That's coming from Ronald again. Oh dear. Oh no, you're mute now.
Okay, now it's not muted.
So maybe we've been thrown a curveball by Ronald, but maybe not. Maybe it's an internet issue. Yeah, this sort of
No more audio issues.
yeah. Well, the late late show is now becoming the mute show. So it's yeah.
But you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect. We're having a great time.
Okay. Awesome.
It's just everyone can only hear what I'm saying, but can't hear what you're saying potentially. That was when she didn't slam men. Okay.
I think I think he's playing around with us.
Yeah, possibly. So, you're giving us a thumbs up. I think men and women are fundamentally different. We have different bodies. We have you know primarily different brains as well that think in slightly different ways. Our men might be better at some things, but definitely weaker at other things, and vice versa. Men bottle up everything, and I saw an alarming stat actually. It came from a client of mine actually that's on LinkedIn. Said that 76 of people who take their own lives are men, which is unbelievable. You'd
Yeah.
never have thought that. You'd have thought it'd be my 60-40 maybe, or closer, but that's incredible.
That is.
So sorry, on you go, Emily.
No, I said that's an incredible statistic. I mean, and it's funny because we were talking about my passion project before, and one of my passion project is really working with women entrepreneurs, helping them to stand in their confidence and their authenticity. And part of that is like going through the emotional spectrum. And we were having a fun banter. It's like, oh, it's only for women. And they said, well, typically, like in our space, like we're not taught that we can be bold and like our voice matters, like historically speaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you say that from that statistic, it's pretty alarming, right? But I also think, right, as we're raised culturally, like women are supposed to be one way, men are supposed to be the other way, and men are supposed to be stoic and just work through it. And
Yeah,
that's not the case, right? Like everybody has emotions, like everybody has their good days and their bad days.
yeah,
And I do think it's fair for men, especially on International Men's Day, that like you feel like you have to keep it bottled in, right? Like it's there has to be a way that you can express yourself in a safe environment, that allows you to feel loved, that allows you to feel honored, right, and that allows you to like process whatever you're going through.
yeah, yeah. I
So
think men, emotion comes out in men and women in different ways. Men tend to get angry, women tend to cry. So exactly, yeah.
I'm a stoic, so it's funny. I had to practice how to cry, but that's a
so,
whole nother
so,
story.
so you actually you've actually I don't know how to say this, but you're sort of if men and women are opposite, then you're more towards in the sort of center part from a
Definitely.
from a personality and emotional perspective.
Yeah, I was a tomboy growing up. Like I used to be like in every single sport playing with the guys. So maybe they were my role model on how to be like, don't show emotion. And one thing I can say is like the awareness piece is like I've done a lot of like transformational work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always working on myself, whether it's in business or outside of business. But one thing I have learned is that like it's okay to express your emotions and you just got to figure out how to do it. And I joke saying like I had to practice how to cry because I really did have to practice to learn how to cry. Like,
Really?
yeah, it's like I went years without crying. Like I probably was more bottled up than like most men, but then I realized like crying is a cathartic experience. I say it lets your emotions, like the toxins, leave your body.
Yeah,
And then once you do it, you feel like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like, not good or bad, but it's part of what we need as human beings to release what no longer serves us.
yeah, yeah. No, I think from a crime perspective, I'm not a big crier, that's for sure. And I actually, tearing up is only sort of more joy than
Hmm.
yeah, it's interesting because crying when you're sad and stuff like that. That I don't do that at all. I don't do that at all. Obviously I'm a bit.
Practice. I'll teach you some of my practicing techniques of crying.
Is that like twisting your skin or something? A bit like Joey in Friends, where that was his technique for crying in his acting. But um, I'm conscious of the time because we obviously started a little bit late. But what would your top tips for sales and marketing? In other words, men and women working together. What do you think would be the sort of benchmark or template for them to do that?
I think like what we said before is communication, and I really find what you said too, like kind of swapping, almost like a day in the life. And I know sales doesn't have enough time to do that, and I know marketing doesn't have enough time
Yeah.
to do that. But it would really be interesting if organizations took like when they're doing their sales kickoffs or their
Hmm.
trainings, is really like dedicate an hour, like this is what we do, this is what we do. How do we come together in the middle to really support each other? Because at the end of the day we're all on the same team. And I think that's what we need to be reminded of.
Yeah.
Maybe also like kind of what we did today, like what's great about sales, what's great about marketing, so we could both feel appreciated, right? Because typically it's like sales doesn't feel appreciated by marketing, marketing doesn't feel appreciated by sales. So coming together and saying, okay, this is what I love about, well, I use love, but this is what's really great about your team. This is what's
Yeah.
really great about your team. Let's complement them together. I mean, I know that's very esoteric, um, but I think that's if we want to get different results, you have to do things differently. And obviously, our traditional models are not working. And that's again from my side hustle or my passion project. I'm really saying our models no longer work. So how do we change the model to get better results,
Hmm.
right? From emotional perspective and also from like a success perspective.
Yeah. No, I think understanding has to be the starting point, because if
Yeah,
you can't understand what the other side are doing and are trying to do, then how can you make sure that you're delivering what they need?
yeah,
And you could actually introduce metrics that they both get measured on for their collaboration. Um, you know,
mm,
almost help them to actually collaborate, because unwillingness to collaborate is probably one of the issues. So yeah, no, I think there's quite a lot that can be done and should be done. And business is getting more and more competitive, and
yes,
if you don't do it, others will. And I think
yes,
with the younger generation coming in, they're they're a little bit different from possibly our generation in sort of mindset.
yeah,
So it will change naturally, but obviously, currently, heads of sales, heads of marketing, marketing directors, whatever you want to call them, they're probably not going to be the younger generation right now. So it might take a little bit of time for that to sort of filter through, and some of the old habits or bad habits to disappear.
yeah, truly.
So it's we talked about time. We're obviously just about out of time. So thank you so much for joining me today. I wish we had longer because, well, we spoke the other day and we
We had
were.
so much fun. I had so much fun today too. So again, I apologize for being
No,
late.
that's okay. That's well, you were on time. It's just the old tech issues were a bit of a problem. But thank you for coming, and to the viewers on the live and those watching the replay. Many thanks for your support, and I hope you've picked up some useful insights. And apart from Emily, it's not great with tech.
Though I work in the tech industry, so what an oxymoron. But really, one quick question is like, since it is International Men's Day,
Hmm.
how do you think women should support you guys on this day or celebrate you?
Oh, how can you? Well, celebrating, I think it's an understanding as well. Once again, it's an understanding between the two, the sexes about what men need, and if if someone is, or working with, or a partner of someone who does bottle it up, it's like gently trying to help them to be more open and vulnerable, because without vulnerability, you don't have, it's difficult to have a connection with, whether it's a colleague or a partner. So helping them to open up. so that that stat of what was it, 76 or 78% comes down. Well, hopefully all of it comes down to less people taking their lives, because it's not, it's obviously not great. Waste of someone's life.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Thank
Okay.
you. I know I threw a curveball at you, but thank
No, it's fine. It's fine. Absolutely. So, well, we'll catch up again, Emily, sometime on LinkedIn. But thanks for everyone that's watching.